You're probably in this void right now where you are not seeing progress in the markets and in your trading journey, but you see the potential in your journey and you see the vision of you being successful, and you're probably envisioning and watching yourself, and you're just hoping that that time will come fast. And we've all gone through this situation, we've all gone through this point in time where we are at the tipping point. And this tipping point can do two things. It's either you quit, or you're so obsessed and you're so different than others and you're okay with being at this lowest point of your life that you keep going, and eventually there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to tell you how I was able to break through from this and was able to make from $1,000 to $2,000 a month to then boosting it to $5,000 a week. And it got to the point where I'm now making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And this is all because of that breakthrough. And I'm about to explain it to you. But before I explain to you the breakthrough, I need to explain to you the scenario that I was in. Because I was in a very, very, very difficult situation. I just dropped out of university. I didn't have any money. I used student finance to fund my trading accounts. There was no prop firms at the time. We're talking 5 years ago. And it was so difficult to build the capital because every time I traded, I was doing so well in the trading aspect, but when it came to risk management and my emotions, I would always somehow fail. And it was very difficult for me to handle these losses, and eventually what would happen is I would keep blowing my account. And it was tough. And at that moment, I remember sitting down and I literally was on camera. I remember telling myself, like, I have to make this work. I've just dropped out of university. My parents really wanted me to become a doctor when I was in college. I ended up not really pursuing in that. Then I went to university and I said, okay, cool, I'll do economics and finance. And I thought something in that I will do something. And then I found my love in business and trading. And I loved business. I always wanted to be a businessman. But when I saw trading and I saw that I can have the freedom that I want, and I was able to do what I want when I want and travel the world, and just all I have to have is Wi-Fi and a phone, I just fell in love with the game. And I used to watch social media personas, and I used to watch all these people, and I used to see these guys like driving Lamborghinis, and they say they drop out of school and they did trading. And I was like, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want, and I have to make it work. If they can do it, I can do it. And so with that mindset, I tried my best to make it work, and I ended up doing the opposite. I ended up not making it work, and I ended up going to the lowest point of my life where I'm in debt with my rent. I've used up all my credit card. I'm used up my student finance, and I am at rock bottom. I had zero money. I was actually in negative. And this was at the point in my life where I had to turn around, and I ended up getting a job, something that I didn't want to do. I hated working. And when I got this job, I told myself, this is the point in life where I need to really focus, and I need to make sure that whatever I do, whatever step I do, is worth my time. And so I ended up doing all these things like monk modes, and I tried out doing all the other businesses like SMMA and e-commerce and drop shipping, and none of them worked. Because all of them required time, number one, and number two, they required a lot of capital. This is the thing no one really tells you on the internet. They don't tell you that you need capital. They make it sound so easy. But something about trading always sparked me, because in my first year of trading, when I was 18 years old and I just came out of college, trading worked so well for me. I made like my first year, I made like around $5,000. And then I second year, when I went to university, everything kind of went downhill. I think it was my surroundings, and primarily it was because I did so well my first year. This was like the litmus test. This was like the test that the market gave me to see whether I can handle a year where I'm just losing. And that's what happened that year. Every single month was red. Every single month was me trying to work, using my paycheck, putting it into a trading account, losing it all, eating literally spag bowls every day. And this is the time where I met my fiance. And at the time, I remember my fiance was helping me as well in this journey. And it was difficult because I really wanted to make this work. but it was so difficult because I was at that tipping point where I'm not seeing results, I'm not getting the results that I want to see, and I'm at this void. And this void is really, really difficult because one, you could give up and then that's it. It's a clean slate. You never ever look back. Or two, you keep struggling, but you don't know when that turning point is going to be. And that fear was the worst thing for me because, look, I'm 21 years old and I was in a rented apartment and I have rent to pay and I couldn't go back home to my parents. And I needed to make this work. There was no other option. I've just told my fiance to come. At the time, she's my girlfriend, and I told her to come stay with me. So it's like I've got all these responsibilities, I've got all these things, and she's helping me. And it was at a difficult situation, and I'm working, but the trading is not working for me. And I've got these dreams and aspirations, but it's so difficult to get the results that I want. I wanted to make just $1,000 a month, just only, even if it was 500, even if it was $100, I just wanted to see something. I was not getting it. I remember asking myself, why? Like, why am I not getting the results that I want? Why am I not seeing what others are seeing? What are they doing that I'm not doing? And I use the same system as them. I'm using the same strategy. I'm trying. And at this time, funded accounts wasn't like as popular as it is now. So life would have been very different, I think, if we had prop firm challenges 5 years ago, where it was that famous. And I remember sitting down and telling myself, listen, like, this has to work and we got to figure out why it's not working. And this is the thing that not many people do, is they don't self-reflect. And I noticed this when I went to university. A lot of people just continue on with their life and they continue on with the things that they're doing, but they don't self-reflect. They don't sit down and they don't think about what their next steps are. And they don't think about those things. And what differentiates the wealthy people and the successful traders is that they reflect every single day. And I didn't know this. And this is where I really locked in, and this is where I really focused. And I told myself, I am going to reflect. And I remember buying a diary and I wrote down every single emotion I had, every single thought, every single day. And I wrote down my goals and I said, this time next year, I'm going to make it work. And there is a good ending to the story. Surprisingly, after I did that, and I did that for like 3 months, I started to see progress. Now, what did I do in that timing or in that time frame that made me different? What did I do? I focused on the things that made me fail. I didn't focus on the things that made me succeed. I focused on the things that made me fail. For example, my emotions, my journaling, my backtesting, things that no one looks at. And I worked backwards. A lot of people do the opposite. They look at the things that they need to succeed in. I was looking at the things that I was failing in. And I focused on those things and I made sure that I just cover up, because I realized that in success, to be successful, you just need to fail as many times as you possibly can to the point where you just run out of failures. Whereas a lot of people think that success is you just need to keep trying and one day you're going to be successful. But that's not what the case is. You don't keep trying. You keep making mistakes. You keep failing until you become successful. That's when I flipped the narrative. And instead of looking at how I need to make $10,000, I told myself, stop making mistakes, stop failing. And I remember telling myself, stop making the same mistake twice. You probably gone through this as well, where you made the same mistake multiple times. You over leveraged, you over revenge traded, you traded way too much, you risked way too much, you've done this something way too many times, you've let your emotions slide, you've traded on news day, you've told yourself you're not going to trade and you end up trading. Like, we do the same mistakes again and again. And that's human nature. We all do the same thing because we made that into a habit. And once you make that into a habit, it's very hard to stop doing that. And some of us, we are failing, and that's a habit now. In order for you to stop this habit, you need to cancel out the triggers. If any of you have read Atomic Habits, it actually works really, really well if you're a trader. And I do recommend every single person to read Atomic Habits, because that's something that you can input into your trading and you'll see massive difference, especially with the habits that we have. For example, emotions, greed, FOMO, those things are habits. So when I was focusing on the failures, I said to myself, how am I going to fail many times without losing money? And that's where backtesting came in. Someone introduced backtesting to me. I can't remember who it was. And I was like, wow, like this is amazing. Backtesting is basically where you use historical data and you test out your system to see if it works. And I think that's an amazing tool. And I think every single trader should be backtesting. And so what I did was I backtested twice a day, just twice a day, because I used to work. I backtested twice a day, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would relax. I did that every single day. And I told myself that I'm not going to get burnt out. I'm not going to do it for a week and then give up. I'm going to do this every single day for the next, until I become successful. And then I said to myself, okay, I need to start tracking this data. And then that's when I started journaling. And I remember watching a video, and I remember hearing this guy say that if you don't have data to track, there's no such thing as progression. And that stuck to me, because I was like, how am I even going to say I'm a bad trader? How am I going to say that I'm unprofitable if I don't even have the data to prove it? Just because I've lost money doesn't mean anything, because I could lose money in gambling. I could lose money by just throwing my money on the floor. Like, there's no difference to it. And so I started tracking the data. I started back testing every single day. And that's where I saw the breakthrough. That's when I started seeing major changes into my trading, because now I'm starting to recognize the patterns. I'm starting to recognize when not to trade. I've started to recognize my emotions, and I used to be able to control it because I'm confident with my system. And that's when I realized that confidence is what builds your trading journey to go uphill rather than spiraling down. You see, when we're going down, what makes us keep going down on that slippery slope is the loss of confidence. As soon as you gain that confidence back up, you start to curve back up. I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but if you ever gone to the gym or you worn something that you like and you're super confident, you get a lot of compliments. But if you feel timid and you feel like you're not really that person and you don't feel like the greatest and you're not confident within yourself, guess what happens? You attract that energy. And that's how it is in trading. When you're looking at your trades and you're not confident in your system, you're just putting yourself at risk of losing, and you're basically putting your system at risk of failing without even realizing. And so my confidence was sky high, because I knew at the back of my head, I always knew that, okay, my backtesting data says I'm profitable. My journal says that I'm doing well. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Forget about the money. Forget about the monetary gains. Just keep going, and let's see what happens at the end of the year. 3 months down the line, I get my biggest payout. I made $5,000 in the markets. 6 months down the line, I made $20,000 in the markets. And after a year, I'm now consistently making around $10,000 to $20,000 in the markets consistently. This year, I was able to turn it up a notch, and I'm now making $20,000 to $30,000. Bearing in mind, I've been trading for 5 years. I'm able to travel the world. I'm able to go and do whatever I want. I'm able to retire my fiance. I'm able to help out my family now. I've changed my whole life around. And that's all because of that void, that breaking point. Because when you're in the void, you don't realize that that could be the time where you quit, or you're just one door away from success. And once you push through that door, and you can't just open the door slowly, you have to run and charge towards that door. And once you do that, that's when you become successful, and that's when you start seeing the fruits of your labor. Now, some of you don't even know where you're at in your journey. Some of you might not know that you're in this void. Some of you might not even know a system. Some of you might not even know what's going wrong in your trading. And so luckily for you guys, I've opened up a few more spaces to my coaching program. I'm offering a free coaching session completely for free, where you can sit down with me, you can share me your trades, you can share me your trading journey, and we can figure out what's going wrong, and I'll give you the solutions. On top of that, I'll also give you 3 masterclass videos that my students have watched, and they keep watching and repeating, because that's what's helped my students make a ton load of money. And not only that, I'll also make a roadmap and a blueprint of exactly what you should be doing next, so you're guided correctly. So you don't have to keep watching these dumb YouTube videos where they keep telling you different information, and you start having this confusion of information. Now, if you're a serious trader, I am only accepting a limited amount of traders. So please, if you're serious, click the link in the description below, fill out the form, and my team will contact you so that you can have a session booked in with me. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video, subscribe, turn that bell notification on, and I'll see you in the next video.